LeetCode problem 1470. Shuffle the array. Given the array nums consisting of two n elements in the form x1, x2, xn, y1, y2, and to the yn, return the array in the form x1, a1, y1, x2, y2. So the idea here is given the array name vector named nums, which consists of values 2, 5, 1, 3, 4, 7, we need to return the output that will look like 2, like this, 2, 3, 5, 4, 1, 7. And you can simply get an idea of it, that this is how it's gonna look like. x1, x1, x2, x1, x2, x3, y1, y1, y2, and y3. And the idea here is we are returning the x1, y1, x2, y2, and x3 and y3. So the logic in this problem is pretty simple to get it. So let's get into solving the actual problem. First, we're gonna create the vector named output, and let's create our integer I named 0. This one we'll use for x variables, and let's create our second variable named x that's gonna hold n, which we are gonna use for y variables. And instead of solving it using for loops, we can actually use while loop in this case, since we are already given n to 3, and the statement states that the array of nums will be consisting 2n, meaning that if we create our while loop like this, the while loop is gonna iterate 3 times, but if we write 2 expressions to push the values from nums into the output vector, we can basically get all these values into output vector within this while loop, even though this while loop is gonna iterate only 3 times. So let's get started. First we're gonna push the x variables, meaning that we write output.pushback. Pushback is a built-in function in C++. It's used to push values to the last element of the array. And since this array doesn't have any size assigned to it, it's gonna push it as the first index of the output vector, meaning 0. So output pushback nums at I, meaning that we are pushing back the x variables, and we're just gonna increment it. So every time the while loop is gonna run, the I will keep incrementing. And also the second statement, we're gonna push back the y variables, meaning x plus plus. And at the end, just gonna return the output. Idea here is pretty simple. They used I to push back x variables, we used x to push back y variables. The reason why I didn't use n in this case is because n is already been used in the condition for the while loop. So I assigned x, so I get the value from n and assign it to the x, and use it inside of a while loop here. And let's see if our code works. Let's run it. Yes, it does.